Hey everybody, this is Eric, the Nobody Trader. It's Sunday, 5/4 of 2025. I'm just going to do kind of a weekly update and give you some levels to look at for this week. And this is all for education. So here's my disclaimer, which you should read. And I'm just showing you guys the levels I'm looking at for, possible trades. So we're looking at a daily chart of the NQ NASDAQ 100 E-mini futures contract. And I talked about this level last week, this 2255 level. And, it'll probably gap up over it. Who knows? Maybe it'll go down. But this is, they have not closed over this yet. So I'd be cautious. If they gap up over it, they'll probably come back in for a retest. Is what I'm looking at. But we've had a lot of green days up. So we're kind of due for a pullback. So I would expect that. But, market does what it does. And it's very news driven anymore. So at least it seems that way to me. So anyway, the levels that I will be watching for this coming week. If we go north, obviously we're at the 255 level, 20,255 level. If we start closing above that, I'm looking at 556 and a quarter, 857 and a quarter. And if we get all the way up here, we'd be 21,158 and a quarter. And this very upper one here is the 21,460 level. So there's going to be some areas to keep your eyes on. If we go back down, obviously we have the 955.75, which, I feel like we're due for a retracement, but this is a big bullish candle, so we'll have to see what happens. But until they start closing above this level, I would watch for a pullback into this 955.75. We get below that, the 656 and a quarter, and that's going to put up a fight. Right? They're not just going to waltz straight on through there. I mean, unless there's a gap situation overnight on news or something like that. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at. Let's take a look at the SPY. So we're looking at the S&P 500 on a daily chart. We have, we have this move up, but we do have a little gap here. The 556.75 to the 558 level. So I'd watch for a possible fill. Them coming to try to fill the gap if we move down. We did close above 566.33, so it looks like we closed at 566.76. So, that's a clue, and that's good that it closed above it, but it needs to hold it, to get a continuation to go north, further north. But I mean, I'm bullish overall on the market, but there will be pullbacks, and it could turn around at any time. I think anybody watching this knows that, but we did break this big, long downtrend. But I would expect a pullback into here and a possible retest at the 552 level. Could happen pretty easy. There again, on all this stuff, the way I trade, I'm looking for hourly closes above or below support and resistance. I don't care which way it goes. And, that's what I do. But these are numbers, good to have on your chart. If you're in a long position, you may, when you get to one of these levels, take some off to help protect, so it doesn't go against you. So anyway, if we go north, we have the 573.46 and we have 580.50. Now that'll be a big level, right? They're not just going to waltz on through there. Let's say gap over it, but this level will probably get tested a few times, before it actually gets through and continues if we're headed that way. If we drop back down, we have this 559, which is, slightly above the gap. So if they get here, I bet they try to fill the gap. And then if we come below that, which I would be looking for probably at that point, is the 552 level. Let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla's consolidating in this range here between the 278.50 and the 290. Rejected up here quite a few times, so I'd be careful. I wouldn't say I'm 100% bullish yet on Tesla, just because of we've kind of breaking this downtrend, but really we're in a sideways consolidation. It needs to start closing up here above this 301.82 area. That's what I'm looking at. And if we get above 301.82, we'd be looking at this 313.53 level, 325.19, and that'll find resistance definitely at that 325 level, I think. And if we drop down, right, we start closing below this green line, below the 278.50 level, we're looking at, the 266.77, and below that, back down here to 255. Let's take a look at nvda, and I really hate this chart. It's just ugly. We have we did close above, let's see, the 114.12. It closed at 114.50, so that's a good sign. But if we lose that, I'm expecting a pullback into the 110 level and then a possible test of this trend line, which who knows where it's going to end up, how much time it's going to take to get back there. But, you could draw this trend line on your chart. And, if you're watching it through the week and it gets down here, that will be support. For sure. And if we get below that, we're looking at 105.52. If we go north, looking at the 118.45 will be the next big resistance. Then above that is 122.77. And if we go back to the NQ, to this one. So let me change this. Sorry. Let me change this to Scout. Then you can see that, this is when I'm day trading, when I have time. Profit, right? It works the same. It doesn't matter if you're looking at hourlies or dailies or whatever, right? These are the levels that are important. So just wanted to show you guys that. And then, it's the same thing, right? You can draw your 50% line. And you can see how that works, right? So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. I appreciate you watching. Anybody has any questions or anything they want me to look at, feel free to send me an email. It's nobodytrader1@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe to videos, and you can follow me on X. I sure would appreciate it. And I will try to get out, evening videos, kind of do updates through the week as far as the levels, depending on, what the market does. If it stays sideways, trading in the same range, I probably won't. But if we get a move, then I'll put up the new numbers that I'm looking at. And thanks for watching. Hope you had a great weekend. Bye.